The Israeli army has called on Gazans living in Eastern Rafah to head to an expanded humanitarian area in Gaza Strip's Khan Younis and Al-Mawasi areas. The order comes after a night of intense Israeli bombardment on Rafah, hours after Hamas rockets killed 3 IDF soldiers. Now, according to Hamas's health officials, Israeli airstrikes killed at least 22 people. Prime Minister Netanyahu reiterated that Israel will move ahead with its Rafah operation and that if Israel is forced to stand alone, it will stand alone. What will be the implications of this latest flare-up? Are the prospects of a possible truce dead? My name is Hemkor Saroya, and to discuss this, we have with us Sergej Sumlenny, Defense Expert and Director, European Resilience Initiative Center. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on WION.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sir, the talks in Cairo have clearly failed to yield any results. With the latest exchange of fire, would you say the prospects of a truce are all but over?
Well, the problem is, as you have mentioned already, that both sides, they don't trust each other. The latest missile strike of Hamas on the Israeli checkpoint, where 3 soldiers have been killed, has shown it. And when we see that the Israeli delegation did not even arrive to the premises of the talks, waiting first when the U.S. mediator will arrive and what sort of pre-talks will start there. They show how much of mistrust is between the sides, and as far as one can see that the Israel's goal remains the same. They want to defeat Hamas, which is understandable, thinking about the level of the massacre of 7th October. And for Hamas, they want to preserve control over Gaza, which they don't have anymore. And none of these sides can reach any goal which would be acceptable for them with any sort of a truce.
Right, sir. Now, that being said, just for better clarity on this, Israel, it seems to have found fresh impetus to carry out its planned Rafah offensive. So do you think this will further complicate efforts to bring back the hostages and negotiate peace?
Well, the hostages remain, of course, the most important topic for Israel. People who have been kidnapped, they remain for already several months in a captivity. There is no information, no reliable information of if they are alive, in what conditions they are. And of course, until all the hostages will be liberated, Israel will not stop completely their operation. They will try to liberate them. That is in the DNA of the Israeli state, to not let their people remain in captivity. And for Hamas, of course, the hostages remain maybe the last as much as Hamas loses control over the Gaza Strip, as more important hostages remain for Hamas, because they can try to handle them in exchange for the prisoners.
Right. Now, from the United States, William Burns will now meet officials in Doha. What are you expecting from diplomatic efforts in Doha, considering talks in Cairo did not result in a solution?
Well, the U.S. remains the mediator in this process, and the U.S. has their interest in reducing the intensity of this war, and that is why the U.S. tries to pressure Israel. For example, as we have seen recently with the stopping of delivery of ammunition, of arms to Israel. And from the Israeli point of view, that is sad news, of course, but the state leader Netanyahu already declared that Israel will continue to fight because of the experience of Israel with the Holocaust, when the Jews practically stood alone and didn't have any support worldwide. And Netanyahu has clearly said on the day of remembrance of the Holocaust victims that Israel will continue to fight with allies or without allies, because it's about the life of the Jewish people, who are once again the targets in this fight of Hamas to exterminate the Jews. So for Israel, it is just continuation of what the Jews have experienced for decades in their history, and with the U.S. support or without it, they will continue to fight. So I don't see any success for the U.S. policy to pressure Israel, because we have seen as much the U.S. pressure Israel, as more Israel sees that it is just a continuation of the Holocaust history, and they know how to respond to.
Right. In fact, sir, I was just going to come to this. You're absolutely right. Prime Minister Netanyahu did reiterate that Israel will move ahead with its Rafah operation and it will stand alone if that's what's required. So do you think Israel can sustain this fight on its own, considering, as you mentioned as well, that the United States has made it clear that it does not support operations in Rafah?
Well, Israel has a pretty long history of sustaining the fight alone, and it has no choice just to sustain, because otherwise it will be eradicated from the map. The problem here is that this war, this Hamas-Israel war, is just focus of an attempt of many actors in the region. First of all, Iran, of course, to attack Israel, and we have seen that with the development of the weapons system and with the multiplication of the number of actors who try to pressure Israel, who try to attack it. You name them, the Houthis, Iran, and other actors. The attack turns to be more and more sophisticated and more large scale. And starting from a certain point, this point has not come yet, but theoretically, starting from a certain point, Israel may be out of means to prevent these attacks with conventional means. And just think about the mass missile attack several weeks ago on Israel, where Israel has been attacked from several directions with drones, with ballistic missiles, with other means, and that has shown that to a certain level of attack is a bit too much even for the Israel air defense, and Israel needed support of the allies, the US, UK, France, and even Jordan, which is an Arab state, and still protected Israel airspace from the Iranian drones.
Right, and on that note, exchange of fire was reported between Lebanon and northern Israel as well. How do you assess the prospects of this war spilling over into the wider region?
Well, that is, of course, the largest danger if it goes and it's a danger for Israel to fight on different fronts, and it is a danger for the region because there are a lot of actors in the region who are ready to pick up the fight, to pursue their own interests, not even only attacking Israel. They can try in Lebanon to gain more power, or like in other countries, and that is the danger of spilling over this war. Not because we will have a global war or something, but because we'll have a chain of civil wars, a chain of armed conflicts in the region. And it is always way more easier to start a war than to end it. And that is why this 7th October attack was so dangerous, because it was designed in a way that you cannot ignore it. When this attack reached that level, with mass rape, with murdered children, with kidnapping of hundreds of people, if you have this attack, you cannot just say, okay, now we start negotiation. No, you must retaliate. And that was the goal of Hamas. They wanted to achieve retaliation by Israel and trigger a global conflict. And unfortunately, they were successful in that triggering of the conflict.
All right. Well, Mr. Sumlenny, thank you so much for joining us on WION with your insights on this.
Thank you so much.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.